Hello everyone, myself Dr. Umarani. In this video, I am going to explain on how to remember the names of the cranial nerves and functional components of the cranial nerves. There are 12 pairs of cranial nerves present in the brain. All are distributed in the head and neck region, but 10th, that vagus nerve, along with that, it also supplies structures in the thorax and abdomen region. The names of the cranial nerves are first is the first cranial nerve, the name is olfactory, second is the optic one, third is the oculomotor, fourth is the trochlear, fifth is the trigeminal, sixth is the abducens, seven is the facial, eight is the vestibulocochlear, ninth is the glossopharyngeal, 10th is the vagus nerve, 11th is the accessory nerve, and 12th is the hypoglossal nerve. So the to remember the cranial nerves, there is a mnemonic is there, that is ho ho ho, to touch and feel very green vegetables are. So ho is O for the olfactory, and second O for the optic, third O for the oculomotor, and T for the trochlear, T for the trigeminal, A for the abducens, F for the facial, V for the vestibulocochlear, G for the glossopharyngeal, V for the vagus, A for the accessory, and H for the hypoglossal nerve. Now that cranial nerves are classified according to their functions. So the total functions are divided into sensory, motor, and mixed. So out of 12 cranial nerves, purely sensory are the first cranial nerve, second and eighth cranial nerve. The purely motor nerves are third cranial nerve, fourth cranial nerve, sixth cranial nerve, 11th and 12th cranial nerve. And mixed cranial nerves are trigeminal, that is the fifth one, seventh one, ninth one, and 10th one. So these are the purely sensory, purely motor, and mixed cranial nerves. Now coming to the functional components of these cranial nerves. The function component is a part of the cranial nerve that performs a specific function, such as we can have that motor function, that is the efferent component, sensory or efferent. So the motor fibers of cranial nerves arise as outgrowth of the axons from motor nuclei, which is situated within the central nervous system. So example, we can see this diagram image, that is the Edinger Westphal nucleus, that is the oculomotor nucleus. These are the motor fibers of the cranial nerves of the oculomotor. So these axons of the motor nuclei, this is situated within the central nervous system. Whereas sensory fibers arise as outgrowths of axons from cells situated within the sensory ganglion, that is situated outside the CNS. And these terminate in the sensory nuclei situated within the CNS. So that fibers arising from the ganglion, that is outside the CNS, and they terminate within the CNS. Example, we can see in this image, this trigeminal ganglion, the fibers, the ganglion situated outside the CNS. From here, that fibers terminate in the sensory nucleus, that is a mesencephalic nucleus, and main chief sensory nucleus and spinal nucleus of the trigeminal nerve. So this is the basic difference between motor and sensory fibers. So these functional components, we further classified according to their function. We call it is efferent, known as the motor component, efferent, known as the sensory component. The motor component, the nuclei are present, general somatic efferent, general visceral efferent, special visceral efferent, or branchial efferent. Whereas efferent sensory components are general visceral efferent, special visceral efferent, general somatic efferent, special somatic efferent. Like this, total 7 functional components of this nuclei are present. For that, efferent is the sensory, where you can see the 4 functional components present, whereas efferent, that is a motor which is having three functional components. Now we can see individual component, that is the efferent component. This efferent component are again we said no three components, that is a general, somatic, efferent. So these nuclei supply skeletal muscles of the somatic origin. These skeletal muscles supplies all the extrinsic muscles of the eyeball through the oculomotor, trochlear and abducens nucleus, and extrinsic muscles of the tongue through hypoglossal nucleus. And the second one here, it is general visceral efferent. So these nuclei give origin to preganglionic parasympathetic fibers. So these relay in a peripheral autonomic ganglion. And these postganglionic fibers arising in the ganglion supplies the smooth muscles or glands. So this is general visceral efferent is a parasympathetic. So it contain preganglionic fibers. So they relay in the peripheral autonomic ganglion. From there, postganglionic fibers arises and they supplies the smooth muscle and glands. The third one is the special visceral efferent. This special visceral efferent, these nuclei supplies the striated muscles of the muscles which are derived from the branchial arches or pharyngeal arches, like mastication muscles, facial expression muscles, and muscles of the soft palate and pharynx, larynx. And third one is the special visceral efferent or bronchial efferent. These they supplies the striated muscles derived from the pharyngeal arches, like mastication muscles, facial expression muscles, muscles of the soft palate, muscles of the pharynx, muscles of the larynx. Along with this nuclei also supplies to the sternocleidomastoid and muscle and trapezius muscle. Now coming to efferent or sensory components. So efferent components are there are four nuclei present. One is the general visceral efferent. There is the only nucleus in this category is the nucleus of solitary tract or tractus solitarius. It receives general visceral sensations through the glossopharyngeal and vagus nerve. And special visceral efferent, it receives sensations of the taste. Third one is the general somatic efferent. They carry proprioception, tactile sensations from the face and oral region, nasal region, and pharyngeal mucosa via the trigeminal nerve. And the fourth one is the special somatic efferent. They carry auditory and vestibular impulses through vestibulocochlear nerve. So these functional components of the cranial nerve, so far we discussed. So these components, what are the present in the spinal cord are, there are four components are present. Two somatic and two visceral functional columns are present. Somatic columns supply structures derived from the somites. Those are the general somatic efferent, general somatic efferent. Whereas visceral columns are autonomic columns, they supply viscera, vessels and glands. They are general visceral efferent and general visceral efferent. So these functional components of the cranial nerves in the brainstem are, they are in the brainstem, particularly hindbrain, the gray matter forms separate longitudinal functional columns. So where the motor columns present in the medial aspect and sensory columns present in the lateral aspect. So along with that, they appear two more columns are present for the bronchial apparatus. Those are known as a special visceral efferent and special visceral efferent. Along with one more column is present for the special sense, that is a special somatic efferent. So thus total 7 columns, that is a 3 motor and 4 sensory, are formed. So these images are showing that cranial nerve nuclei and the brainstem. Out of 12 pairs of cranial nerve, 1 and 2, except these two, all 10 pairs of the cranial nerve arising from the brainstem. The first image, it is showing that the sensory nuclei present in the brainstem, that is mesencephalic nucleus of the trigeminal nerve, chief sensory nucleus of the trigeminal nerve, and cochlear nerve, vestibular nerve, and nucleus of the tractus solitarius, nucleus of the spinal tract of the trigeminal nerve. And whereas the second image, it is showing motor nuclei, that is Edinger Westphal nucleus, oculomotor nucleus, trochlear nucleus, abducent nucleus, motor nucleus of the trigeminal, motor nucleus of the facial nerve, lacrimate nucleus, superior salivatory nucleus, inferior salivatory nucleus, and from lateral to medial nucleus ambiguous, dorsal nucleus of the vagus nerve, hypoglossal nerve. So these are the sensory and motor nuclei present on the brainstem. Um, so one parasympathetic motor supply, that is a general visceral efferent nuclei in the brainstem, are these are the cranial outflow of the parasympathetic portion of the autonomic nervous system. They are Edinger Westphal nucleus of the oculomotor nerve, superior salivatory and lacrimal nucleus of the facial nerve, inferior salivatory nucleus of the glossopharyngeal nerve, dorsal motor nucleus of the vagus. So these nuclei receives numerous efferent fibers, including descending pathways from the hypothalamus. So these are all functional components of the cranial nerve. In brief, I explained. If you like that video, please like and share the video. Thank you for listening.